Hello and welcome back to the Harbor YouTube channel. Look at this, all three Harbor co-pastors together on one screen. Amazing. We are going to be recapping our recent gathering where we had another Harbor VBS night, our final VBS discussion of the summer. I wasn't able to attend, so I'm really looking forward to hearing from Dottie and Don about what exactly happened at Harbor. So Dottie is the one who facilitated our content. So Dottie, would you tell us a little bit about what we talked about this last time at Harbor?
Yes, thanks, John. So the old classic story from the Bible that we looked at was the parable of the house on the rock. And we looked at the story in Matthew, and it's a story where Jesus says, "Whoever hears my words, puts them into practice, is like a wise sage who builds their house on a rock and is able to weather a storm." So we broke down each one of those phrases. What does it mean to hear Jesus's words? What does it mean to put something into practice? What does it mean to build a rock foundation? And what does it mean to weather a storm? And instead of focusing on the sand, the house on the sand, we actually really focused on what are we all cultivating in our own lives that are rock foundations, and what is helping sustain us to be resilient to weather storms. And yeah, that was kind of it. Dawn, do you have any thoughts from last night or anything, any insights you want to expand on?
I was just going to ask if you could recap, because I can only think of, oh no, I think I've got four. The four kind of anchors of the foundation that you described for us.
Yeah, so in my own reflection, I thought about, okay, what are the elements in my own life that I would consider some of my own rock foundations that help me when a storm hits, that I have a higher capacity to react to the storm. And when I was looking up rock foundation images, there's multiple layers of rocks. And so I'm thinking of this rock foundation as different components, different layers holding us, right? And so the four that I just reflected on were my spiritual formation, my engagement with the divine, with God, with spirit, with mystery. That was one. Another one was my close relationships. Who are the people that I am in like deep and close relationships with, family and dear friends. Another one was, what is my inner and true self looking like? How am I connected to myself? How am I connected to my body? This could be as simple as my daily habits, going for a walk, getting fresh air, breathing more, or it could be more broad in going for an adventure or whatever. But how am I connected to my inner and true self and finding my own resources there? And then the last one was my connection to the beloved community. And I used Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s phrase for that, of how am I engaging with God's, or participating in God's peace and justice in the world. I would be really curious to hear what foundations people would describe, like what were some of the categories people might describe, especially across different cultures. I'm sure there are different ones that I have missed. I'm sure of it. Those were just like brief ones that I could think of for my own life as pillars that really can be resources for myself. And then we expanded a little bit more in breakout rooms of different seasons or different personalities draw towards certain resources more. So one person was going, I actually really don't feel like I have many close relationships, and I've had to rely on myself so much. And it could have been like this critical, like self-critical moment, but we were like, actually, you're really like, yes, of course, there's more opportunity to connect with other people. And also, you're amazing and so adventurous and able to be in nature and in solitude in ways that most people can't. So yeah, we definitely tried to lean into the goodness that's already within us and within our communities that's holding us.
That's awesome. Dottie, you share. I love that you shared something that someone said in the breakout room. I feel like one of the things I love about our gatherings on Thursday nights is that we're not like showing up as these experts, like dispensing like our knowledge and wisdom to the masses. It's like a mutual dialogue where we're participating, and the people in our community are asking amazing questions, offering really great insights. I'm curious, Don. Sorry to put you on the spot a little bit, but I'm curious if did you guys do two breakout rooms?
Hmm.
I wonder if anything came up that was
Yeah.
really insightful or a great question from your breakout room, Don, or anything that anyone shared that has gotten you thinking or that encouraged you, or anything that stood out to you from your discussion.
Yeah. We were so our group was we were kind of low energy last night when I did a check-in at the beginning and was like, okay, just like who's got lots of energy for this discussion and who just wants to be like camera off and listen. And it was about half and half. So I was like, okay, we're gonna honor this, and we're just gonna take our time and leave some space. It's all good. One of the things that struck me yesterday as I was thinking about this passage is I've never actually heard about it as an adult. I've never preached it, and I don't think I've ever heard it preached about. And I wondered, like, maybe we think it's just too simple for adults, but like just the way, when we start thinking about what that foundation is and the assumptions we've had that, oh, well, it's salvation. And so that was kind of interesting. One of the first insights that someone shared was the wisdom that of shifting from thinking about the storm and thinking about how some of us have learned from the Christian faith that if you are experiencing storms, it is because you're on a sandy foundation. It's because you are doing wrong or you're not doing enough. And that's why the storm is coming. And what this person noticed, their shift in thinking and hearing this story again, is that storms happen. Like there's nothing in this story that says how the storm happens. It's just a simple fact that the storm is going to come, and how do we ground ourselves, which we've been talking about a lot at Harbor about, we use the image of the Dell and just kind of being in that kind of scary place and not really, and how do we manage being in that place without rushing to scramble to get out of it and find simple ways to get out of it. So I thought that was a really important insight. The other piece we spoke a lot about was someone mentioned that the pillars is what I've been calling them, that Dottie suggested, so they actually sound just a lot like self-care. And, they're also very much the foundations of self-care. And so we talked about some of the spiritual and mental practices that we use in order to find grounding, particularly for those of us, myself included, who live with generalized anxiety. So things like using meditation, and also just recognizing when we're in the midst of anxiety, like being able to name it and say, oh, I'm having a really anxious moment. And not being afraid of that anxiety, because so often what we're most afraid of isn't what's causing the anxiety. We're afraid of the anxiety itself. And so that was it went a little off, but that was a really enlightening conversation for a lot of us. How to deal with those feelings in the moment was just, and using, our devotion or our prayer, or however we define that, in our relationships and our work in the world, of how we can kind of strengthen those practices for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that sounds like such a rich conversation, and I'm sad I missed it. We are at the end of the discussion portion of our VBS summer series. We do, if people are catching this video right away when we post it, we do have a really fun movie night coming up at our next gathering, watching Encanto. So join us for that. Any final words from either of you on this past gathering, or just the entire VBS summer series? I ask because I have one final takeaway from this series. And it's that I've really enjoyed this more than I thought I would. And I think one of the things I'm enjoying is there's such a disconnect between like kids things in the traditional kind of church settings that I've been used to and the adult stuff. Like you just like play and have fun for the most part when you're a kid. And then when you're adult, it's so serious and you're just focused all the time. It's really like, and it's cool that we've had crafts and we've had singing and dancing and we've had snacks. And it's just been a really, I think, a fun, playful way to engage with each other this summer. Any final closing thoughts on this last gathering or this summer from either of you?
I have similar thoughts, John. It's been a really great time to bring in a fun, playful energy in how we approach the Bible. And we have a lot of curious brains in Harbor. And so helping us move through a lot of intellectual curiosity to a little bit more of like bring that into a colorful, silly, playful, intergenerational model has been really, I think, good for all of us to expand. A lot of us have been coloring during meetings. We've been making snacks during meetings. And I think it's good to move out of the head and into more of the experiential. And it's been a joy. And I think we have a lot to learn from the way that kids are curious and a little bit more open to how they approach something. And so with these texts, I've been really grateful for the ways that our community has participated with a lot of curiosity and willingness to go with whatever silly song we sing or craft we do. And it's been really good. And surprisingly, even though we are doing something that is Vacation Bible School, the conversations have been so deep and so rich. It's been really great to see that as a result. Yeah.
Yeah. I just have some great memories of conversations, some moments with our kids and some moments of real opening up and revelation for many of us. Part of me was a little nervous about this because we wanted, we're always trying to be very sensitive to how people have been treated as kids in church. And so I was a little nervous about how this would be received. And I'm just so proud of our folks for just, jumping in. And I mean, some people were like, this isn't for me, and yet still engaged in the conversation, and I think made it a lot richer. So I think, and the other piece that I've been thinking about this summer, and the VBS has been part of it, and it comes from the retreat as well, is when we're deconstructing, we can choose to kind of just reject everything. And one of the things Chantilly did with us at the retreat was around trying to reclaim particular music, but also just some of the things that maybe we experienced as children that were good, and being able to say, you know what, we can still hold on to things that were good. And that doesn't mean that we stop being critical or that we don't reject what was bad. But it's okay. Like we can hold on to the good and learn how to disentangle that. And I think this VBS for me I've seen that happen so many times. Even, last night, Vivian played this song, The Wise Man Built the House Upon the Rock, and it's a very old children's song. And Corinne and I started doing the actions, which was just so delightful and fun. And I think is also part of that soul work of remembering, no, there was good here too.
That's great. Well, thank you both for chatting here today. Anyone out there, stay tuned to this YouTube channel and to our weekly email list. If you're not on the list, you can sign up at our website, onlineharbor.org, to figure out what's coming down the pike this fall at Harbor. And until next time, see y'all later.
Bye.